Good evening and welcome to tonight's Monroe City Council meeting. This is the regular business meeting for Tuesday, October 10th, 2023. The time right now is 7 p.m. I'm going to ask that Jody please call the roll. Clerk Wyckoff.
I think I'd have that mic figured out by now. Council members present and establishing a quorum are council members Fulcher, Kinney, Gamble, Fisher, and Scarborough.
Thank you. And we heard from Councilmember Davis earlier this evening that he would not be able to be here this evening. So unless there is opposition or an objection, I'd like to consider his absence as, I was going to say sustained, absence as excused. And then did we hear from Councilmember Hanford that he would not be here? Okay. All right. So we'll announce Councilmember Hanford's arrival when he arrives at this evening's meeting. All right, next item on the agenda is Pledge of Allegiance with Councilmember Gamble. Councilmember Gamble.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilmember. Next item on the agenda this evening is a public hearing. And I have some words to read. All right, this next item is item 4.1. It's a public hearing for the City of Monroe, resolution number 2023-014, a resolution of the City Council for the City of Monroe, Washington, expressing support for the Monroe Transportation Benefit District Position 1 Sales and Use Tax for transportation improvements and entering supportive findings. And I'm going to go ahead and read some more things in, and then Director Roberts will have some things to read in.
I'll be here.
Thank you. So before we proceed with the hearing, please note that the rules and procedures that apply to this hearing are available in the agenda packet and the city's website. To summarize, after the hearing is open, the city staff will present a staff report, and council members may ask questions for clarification of staff or wait until another time. The public hearing is now open. If you choose to read rules out loud, do so. I'm not going to do that. So I know. I know. State your name. I appreciate that you all get me. Thank you. Okay, so back to the official record. For the record, I'm informing all parties interested in these proceedings that the city clerk has forwarded to the city council all timely written or otherwise recordable comments that have been submitted regarding the subject matter of this public hearing. At this time, I will ask Jacob Roberts, Public Works Director, to provide a description of the matter under consideration. But first, I'd like to announce Councilmember Hanford entered chambers at 7:03 p.m. All right, Director Roberts, go for it.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. I've forgotten why I'm up here. It's been a while. In any case, I'm filling in for Becky tonight just to kind of give you the background. The RCW allows the City Council to vote on a resolution as a collective body in support or opposition of any ballot measure after holding a public hearing. The reason for tonight's public hearing. The public comments and or comments from the council are to be accepted on the record, and they are regarding Monroe Transportation Benefit District, otherwise known as MTBD, Proposition 1. If you don't know what Proposition 1 is, I'm going to tell you now. It is the continuation of the Transportation Benefit District 0.2% of sales tax that occurs on purchases that occur inside the city of Monroe. That 2 cents out of every $10 spent supports the local transportation facilities according to the proposed resolution as drafted. This supports then critical facilities such as the safety, vitality, and economic development of the city of Monroe, as is noted in the agenda bill. Approval of Proposition 1 would advance the public interest by providing continued funding for roads, sidewalks, trails, and other active transportation facilities. Non-approval, maybe denial of Proposition 1 would do the opposite. So that concludes my presentation. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you very much, Director Roberts. Do any council members have any clarifying questions of staff? Okay. At this time, I'll ask if there are any members of the public or council members who wish to speak in support of or opposition to this matter. Unless the city council wishes to impose a different limitation, there will be a 3-minute limit per speaker. Your time will begin after you introduce yourself and provide your area of residence or association with the city of Monroe. Please be respectful of all speakers. and of the hearing procedure itself. Please also note that this hearing is an opportunity for you to address the City Council. It is not intended to be a question and answer session. Let me go ahead and call on the people who are here that would like to speak that are in the room. Do we have anybody who is here that would like to speak? If so, please raise your hand. Right, I'm going to look online. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to speak on this public hearing? If so, please raise your virtual hand or hit *9 if you're on the phone, which none of you are. All right, seeing none, I turn to council. Council, do you have any comments at this time, or is there an interest in making a motion? Wait a minute. Yes, okay, so we first need to close the hearing. So does anybody have any comments in support or opposition? And then we can move to making a motion. Go ahead, Councilmember Gamble.
Yeah, I'll make comments.
We're looking for comments, and then if nobody has comments, then we can.
No, I just, I appreciate the resolution before us. I mean, this is something, Transportation Benefit District that was implemented, I want to say, was it 10 years ago, 11 years ago? Was something that, you know, was a big gap in our strategy in order to take care of maintenance of streets and transportation. And I think this is the exact right way to go about it. There are a lot of people that use the streets that are not Monroe residents, so applying a 0.2% or 0.2%, you know, on the sales tax side makes a ton of sense, so that it is a shared cost on people that are using the road. It's fair, and we've been able, you know, since voters entrusted us to this, the TBD, since it was implemented the first time, to be able to accomplish a lot of stuff. We've had a lot of delayed maintenance across, you know, the city, and we've made a ton of progress on that, and it would be a shame to not continue that progress forward. So I wholeheartedly support and I feel like I have to say it because you guys know I'm not a tax guy. So, you know, for me that this just makes a lot of sense. So
thank you.
There you go.
Other comments from council members? Okay, there being no further. Oh, so go ahead, Councilmember Scarborough. I saw your hand. Okay, Councilmember Hanford. We can rock, paper, scissors, lizard, Spock it. Go ahead.
I concur with everything Councilmember Gamble just said.
All right, thank you, Councilmember
That's
Hanford. Councilmember Scarborough.
Same.
Councilmember Fisher.
Yes, I also agree. I think there was 2 projects that went on around my neighborhood from this. I think one was Madison Street, the other one was Powell. Huge improvements to the sidewalks and to, especially on the Powell one, it was kind of off-centered to keep people from going really, really fast down that road without putting in speed bumps and all those annoying things like that. So huge improvement, and it all came from this funding. So I am definitely in support of it as well.
Thank you. Any other comments or motion?
You calling me?
Yeah. Councilmember Fulcher.
I agree. It was very well stated, Jason, that it is a user tax, which is really what we need. Is so many of our taxes to support things these days are paid by property owners and then the services used by other people. And in this case, I think it's really well directed, and I love seeing that sign that says "paid for by your local transportation benefit district." I think it's good advertising on the city's part of what we've done with it, and I'm going to support it.
All right, thank you.
And
before you read it, are you going to read the motion?
Yeah.
Okay, so I need to say more words.
Okay.
Do any council members have any additional questions to ask staff? Okay, that's me providing an opportunity for Q&A. Okay, we're going to close the hearing unless there are objections. It says pause and look at you. The hearing is now closed. Councilmember Fulcher, go ahead.
Okay, now I can do.
Yes.
All right, thank you. I move to open the public hearing to take. Nope, I do not move that at all. What I do is I'm going to move to approve resolution number 2023-014, expressing support for Monroe Transportation Benefit District Proposition 1, sales and use tax for transportation improvements, and entering supportive findings.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilmember Fulcher, a second from Councilmember Gamble for the requested action to approve the resolution, etc., as shown as the second item on the screen. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Thank you, everybody. All right, we now have public comments. This is a time set aside for members of the public to speak to the City Council on any issue related to the City of Monroe, except a quasi-judicial matter that is subject to a public hearing. 3 minutes are afforded to each speaker. If you are interested in speaking and are on the phone, hit *9. If you are in the public in Zoom, please hit raise hand. If you're here in the room, wave your hands back and forth and jump up and down. Okay. Councilmember Hanford. Okay, I'm like, there's somebody pretending to be Councilmember Hanford. All right. All right, we are good. So no public comments. We do have a need for an executive session. This is potential litigation pursuant to RCW 42.30.110 subsection 1 subsection I for approximately 10 minutes. We will go into executive session at 7:11 p.m. for initial 10 minutes. Any extensions will be announced both online and also here in this room. We are now in executive session.
The executive session has been extended 3 minutes.
All right, we are now out of executive session. The time right now is 7:24 p.m. We're now going to move on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion for the consent? Councilmember Scarborough, go ahead.
I move to accept the consent agenda.
Okay, so there's been a motion to approve the consent agenda from Councilmember Scarborough, a second from Councilmember Fulcher. Any discussion on the motion to approve the consent agenda? All right, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Do we have any material? Okay, we're going to go ahead and recess for 5 minutes, beginning at 7:25 p.m. We will reconvene at 7:30 p.m. in 5 minutes. We are in recess. Or Siri will. Okay, we are back out of recess, and for people who stayed on, thank you very much for your patience. And Jody, do you have a slide? Councilmember Gamble, go ahead.
I move to add an agenda to the, or an item to the agenda, excuse me. I move that the City Council add an item to tonight's agenda related to legal enforcement of the Cadman property donation requirement.
I have a motion from Councilmember Gamble, a second from Councilmember Hanford for the requested action number 1, which is adding an item to tonight's agenda related to legal enforcement of the Cadman property donation requirement. Any discussion on the motion? Second was Hanford. There being no discussion on the motion, I will call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 6-0. I turn to staff, who would be making a brief summary of what's here. Mr. Lell, would that be you?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Very briefly, by way of context, several years ago, the city approved a series of permits, and including a master plan with what was then Cadman for the use and development of certain property located along the river and near the city's Sky River Park. Part of those regulatory permitting documents or decisions included an agreed to requirement by Cadman to donate to the city a substantial portion of property for ultimate use by the city once all the extractive resource development on the site had been completed. In January of 2021, Cadman sent the city a formal notice indicating Cadman's intent to proceed with the property donation. And since then, the city has been working with Cadman to effectuate that donation through the development of a property donation agreement and a separate right of access and inspection agreement that would allow the city and its consultants access to the property to perform some environmental testing, sampling, and coring before the city actually formally agrees to accept the donation of the property permanently. The city's negotiations with Cadman have essentially halted, essentially by a unilateral action by Cadman in pulling back from the discussions. The proposed motion before you tonight is to authorize the mayor and the city attorney to take all necessary and appropriate measures to enforce and effectuate the required donation of the Cadman property pursuant to those applicable permitting and regulatory mandates. And included within that motion would be the authority for the mayor and the city attorney to commence civil litigation against the company in the event that that is deemed necessary. I'd be happy to answer any questions that the council may have.
Thank you. Councilmember Gamble.
No questions. I will move that the city council authorize the mayor and city attorney to take all necessary and appropriate measures to enforce and effectuate the required donation of the Cadman property pursuant to applicable permitting and regulatory mandates, specifically including without limitation the commencement of civil litigation.
I have a motion from Councilmember Gamble, a second from Councilmember Hanford. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Thank you. We're going to go ahead and move on then. The consent agenda is already taken care of. Councilmember reports. Go ahead and start on the end. Councilmember Scarborough. Thank you. Councilmember Fisher.
Yeah, just attended some more school functions. Obviously, that's the age that my kids are at now, which was nice, from swim meets to football games and practices, just seeing our community out, meeting a bunch of different community members that are part of those teams, which is great. We did visit the Snohomish Aquatic Center because that's where we have our home swim meets. And for me, it was kind of a drag that we don't have something like that in Monroe. I wish that we would have had the foresight with the YMCA being built, being able to have swim meets there. The pool's not deep enough, doesn't have platforms, things like that. So so that's our home pool, but it just says Snohomish everywhere. It doesn't say Monroe, so it feels kind of weird. And then we also don't have a home pool. So for senior day, it was just didn't feel like Monroe because we weren't there. So I wish we would, all community and city, all that would have had the foresight to build a little bit different of a pool, probably in the YMCA building. And then researching a little bit more, it's a building that's owned by the Snohomish School District. So it would be fun to talk about that again someday, and see if the school district can do something along those lines. I know that their student body is a little bit bigger than ours by about 3,000, but we could probably figure something out over time. So that was all I have.
Thank you. As we're working on the comprehensive plan update, it would be an opportunity for the council and the Parks Board to consider whether or not to put something into the Parks Recreation Open Space Plan, I would imagine. I know that there was a vote in the late 90s, maybe right around 2000, that failed. And so the direction was to do this partnership that led to the YMCA pool. So yeah, nice. Cool, thank you. Councilmember Hanford, Councilmember Hanford. You're Gamble tonight. So Councilmember Hanford, go ahead.
Don't forget to hit your point of
Thank you.
Point of order. Yeah, there you go.
Nothing to report tonight, thanks.
That was well, thank you. Councilmember Kenny.
Oh my, I'm sitting here laughing.
I don't do the microphones now.
Okay, I have to stay way back because I have such a loud voice. Okay, a couple things. I also have been involved in school sports and community activities. Monday night, We hosted a cross-country meet at Sky River Park and worked with the Parks and Rec Department to set that up as we do every year. We have another one this coming Monday, and they are just fantastic. You know, we just have great cooperation, and they're just wonderful to work with. And then we host schools. So we hosted 3 different schools, Snohomish and Arlington, and we'll host again on Monday. But everyone loves our park. Everyone loves our course. It was just another reminder that we are so lucky to have the Parks Department we do, and just the wonderful people that help us every year in setting up these events. So just a wonderful experience all around. I went to the chamber lunch. I'll let, okay, all right, I'll go ahead. Councilmember Fulcher and I attended the chamber luncheon today to hear Senator Hawkins speak. And that was really enlightening and wonderful. And got to see a lot of people in the community that I don't see very often. Very, very worthwhile. And I was glad I attended. And a couple things, historical society things. We have a Monroe Historical Society trivia night at Route 2 coming up in November. I believe it's November 15th. So I'll be bothering you all more about that. I hope everybody can come down. That's a fundraiser for us. And then last but not least, I wanted to share some good news. We have been receiving a lot of foot traffic from the signage downtown in the museum. And people are telling us we didn't know a museum was here, and here we are. So gosh, what a wonderful development and result of those signs being up. And just today, I ran with the cross-country team from the school down to the smokestack and got a chance to tell the kids all about the Carnation Condensery, and all up and down Main Street, the kids, so these are, you know, teenagers, all were talking about how they love the new signs. So it's just positive feedback. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Fulcher, talk to us about the chamber meeting.
Yeah, I was going to. Someone keeps talking in front of me. So yeah, it was a really good chamber meeting today. There was some really great coffee there, but there was also Chief O'Brien was able to speak with us about what the fire department's been doing, and it was excellent to see all of our second responders there. And then we sorry. And as I was driving back into town today, I do have to say that the
was that a motion, Councilmember Fisher?
motion, he will not get
said. All right, Councilmember Fulcher, go ahead.
Anyway, as I was driving into town, the new signs and the background with the trees, I thought, oh my goodness, I love this place. So that was it. And thank you for your service, Councilmember.
All right, Councilmember Gamble.
Oh, that's awesome. No, it's good to be back in 3D and not on a 2D screen. So I've been traveling a little bit for work, but I love that able to attend. You know, that wasn't possible before, so that's really nice. One of the only good things that came out of the last 3 years. Got to see Tempe City Hall because I did miss the tour, so I was able to get over there here this last week, so that was great. Councilmember Fisher, you brought up, you know, the football and kind of, you know, thing is kind of, we talked about this before. It's a one football high school, if you want to call that town, and so people do turn out. This Friday is a big one, so it's official. King 5 News, big game of the week. It was voted, so we'll be featured. It's for the 3A Southwest Co Championship. So you got Edmonds Woodway that is 4-0 in the division, and Monroe is 4-0. So that'll be at 7 o'clock on Friday up at the high school with King 5 News covering that. So that'll be a ton of fun. Get a lot of people out there. It should be a good game. I fully expect the Bearcats to prevail. So get some. Homecoming is next week. So the next 2 home games are big, right? So you got this week, which is for the championship. Following weekend's homecoming against some team that I think they have more students than us. Councilmember Fisher was saying it, but they might not have a better football team for sure. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, Snohomish. It's against Snohomish is where I was going. That's right. They got a pool. Not a football team, but a pool. It's on the record.
It's on the record. I'll let my neighbors know that. All right. Anything else?
No, that's it.
All right. Thank you. All right. Staff and department reports. City Clerk Wyckoff.
Thank you, Mayor. For the record, Jody Wyckoff, City Clerk. In your packet tonight is our Q2 2023 report. A little bit late. We were busy, moving and destroying records and that kind of stuff. Sounds worse than it actually is. For the grant that we received from the state for just shy of $47,000, the Community Development Department were able to get rid of approximately 133 boxes and 791 big plans. So that was kudos to them for rocking that one and knocking it out of the park. Also in your report is the public records at a glance. We are seeing a trend up, and Sherry Simonson will be here next week to give the full JLARC report for 2022. And then our record roundup days, very, very successful. Thank all my fellow coworkers and my administration team for their support in getting this done. I did some number crunching, which is not my thing, so I could be completely off here. But I think we probably either shredded, transferred, or digitized approximately 2 million pieces of paper. So that is amazing. And we are looking forward to doing more roundup days. Now that our paper is somewhat organized, we need to do more organizing with that, keep up on the transferring and destroying, and then we need to tackle the e-records, which you can only imagine are probably worse than paper. And then the favorite part of the roundup days, at least for me, and I know that my council member Tammy Kinney is very excited about this. We found some very old records, very, very old records. We found originally signed ordinances from 1907 that were printed on onion skin paper. And if you want to know what that is, read your packet. And then I brought for show and tell tonight the original building contract from June of 1908 for the construction of the City Hall building, which is where our current Historical Society Museum is. Pretty darn cool. And then I can't leave without thanking our state archivists. They took away approximately 60 boxes worth of records, and we hope to send them more. That's it.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Councilmember Kinney, go ahead.
I just want to say thank you for caring about these old documents. And as this process has gone on, we talked about this at our last board meeting. We know we found a football picture of a 1913 football team that was behind a filing cabinet. So thank you all for being on the lookout for these treasures and letting the Historical Society know about it. This is unbelievable. We're so excited. It's in fantastic condition. And thank you for caring about history and treating it with the reverence it deserves. So appreciated.
Thank you. And we've got Mr. Director Farrell, but tonight it's Ben. Yep. Just clap twice.
Perfect. Cool. Great. Thank you. So tonight in the staff report, you'll see a couple of different things. The first one you'll see is the crew constructing the 2 new pickleball courts down at Sky River. And so this is actually a combination of public works and park staff doing this. We just happen to have some very talented people on staff that have spent years doing this kind of thing. And so they're actually out constructing that. And the bid amount for it was low enough where we could use in-house staff. We did get started later than we initially thought. Permitting process was a little longer than I thought, so it pushed us a little later. And so what we had originally hoped to do this year was get the concrete down and actually get the overlay down on it, the final rubberized coating essentially on the courts. But now that we're kind of going into winter, we ran out of that time, so that'll happen next spring, where the surfacing will go down on the new pickleball courts, and the existing pickleball courts and tennis courts will be resurfaced at that time too. Essentially all under one contract. Further down your packet, you'll see where we closed out our kind of peak season of events, 35, I think. And so a very successful year for events, kept everybody, very, very busy. Overall, I can't think of a big issue that we had for any of them. I think everybody had a good time. Everyone was respectful of each other. So I think it was a great year for that. And then we did have our Trails Plan open house. And so what that was is the city's developing its first master trails plan. We haven't had one in the past, and we started noticing these things, especially when we go to annex. We don't have these trail systems planned out in these areas where we annex. And so once we get that into place, and we'll have a little more authority to actually kind of start developing trail corridors in these areas when they go to develop in that area. And then the other thing is essentially looking at our existing resources. That includes something similar that Public Works does with their roads, is we're actually going to scan our trail system, and then they'll give a rating of that trail system so we can start developing a list, and it'll prioritize kind of first to last on how we should start repairing these different systems. And so overall, I think it'll be a good plan. I'm not sure if you heard about the King County case where the bicyclist hit the bollard. It resulted in a pretty significant settlement. Also in this trails plan, that's one of those things that we're addressing, is how are other jurisdictions and communities handling these things. And so should overall be I think a great plan. And we also, after this, we have some public outreach. We pushed out the Maps and Air program, the similar that community development used for their comprehensive plan. Ours is a little more simpler, where we just have the map and say, hey, start dropping where you'd like to see additional trails or where you like, and then allows you to put something up there. Something that just happened recently, yesterday and the day before, is we experienced some vandalism down at Sky River. And so they, hit the sewer treatment plant wall, they hit the bathroom with spray paint, broke a drinking fountain, and then crew got in there and cleaned up some of the mess on the inside, and they came back and hit the following day again. And so what we did is we just locked the bathrooms for now. And that's just essentially the only reason we have them locked, is to give the crew an opportunity to kind of catch up and clean up in there. So if anybody asks why the bathrooms were locked tonight, that's why. So yeah, we have a police report filed. The police know, so we'll just move forward, onward and upward.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
Any questions for Ben?
Is the bathrooms being locked? Did that get out on like social media or anything for people to know?
We notify the user groups for the people that go down, that are scheduled to use the fields in the area. We still have the one over Rotary too, so they're not entirely without a bathroom. They just have to walk a little further. And so we were going to put a sign up notifying that bathroom is still open.
Perfect. So I think it hopefully would help, just having people's residents' eyes out, knowing what's going on, and like, hey, that looks like they're not up to anything good. So they might call us, but cool. Thank you.
Councilmember Kenny.
So at our meet on Monday night, the bathrooms were locked. And so we sent everybody over across the parking lot to the bathrooms there. But there was a fire truck response. And I was just wondering, we were all wondering what was happening.
Oh, I don't know.
Chief, no second
I can look into it.
Okay, that would be great. It was
Okay.
just curious. That we saw, like, it almost sounded like a big bang, and then we saw some smoke. It was almost like an explosion or something, and then the fire truck came, and so they closed the bathrooms. And luckily we had the ones across the way to use for the meet, but I was just curious. Everyone was asking me to ask about it, and I was just curious if you knew.
One of the fire cans was lit on fire, and so that may have had something to do.
That's what it was. Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thank you very much.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. All right, city administrator report. Ben?
Pseudo city administrator.
You want to turn on your microphone?
Thanks, Fred. Hi.
Go for it, Ben.
Extended agenda. Next week we do have no Finance and Human Resources Committee meeting. Sorry about that, folks. We will have a regular meeting at 7, and we have announcements, presentations, consent agenda, some ACH, AP minutes, an ordinance amending code for Planning Commission meeting locations, and task 2 for KBA Civic Campus renovation management services. That's our building. Public hearing for the 2023-2024 budget mid-biennium adjustment and the 2024 property tax by Greg, and the Human Services Economic Development Report, and extended agenda, Monroe this week, and a proclamation, if any, by the mayor.
All right. Thank you very much. Next one.
The week after. Thank you.
We'll come back. Yeah, Jason, just a second.
On the 24th, we'll have a P3 committee meeting to approve the minutes and then to discuss the Trails Master Plan by Mr. Swanson and the Transportation Utility Comprehensive Plan update by Mr. Roberts. And our regular meeting for the 24th, we'll have a proclamation for Kindness Week. We'll pay some more bills. We'll have a public hearing, the second public hearing for the 23-24 budget mid-biennium adjustment and the property tax. And then we'll adopt the ordinance, hopefully. And we'll have an ordinance for the capital and facilities plan by Roberts and Swanson, an award bid City Hall renovation project by Mr. Otto, and an ordinance updating our park impact fees first reading. And then I'll be back with an HR IT report, community development, public works, police.
All right. Thank you. Councilmember Gamble, go ahead.
So I think I mentioned this last time, but for the record, I'm out of town on vacation for the 24th.
Okay.
And then I think, if I'm not mistaken, so the 31st would be no meeting, and then typically we cancel the election day Tuesday.
Yes.
Which will be the 7th. Okay.
Yes.
Yep, I will not be present. I'll be on vacation.
Okay. Anybody else? All right, we're gonna go ahead and move on to the city administrator report, as opposed to the extended agenda report.
So Greg did email the biennial budget mid-biennium adjustment packet, and it will be posted on our website tomorrow. Greg assures me. If you need a printed copy, let us know. We did make one, but if you need another one, let us know. The 1017 study session has public hearing and other actions needed, so we need a motion to allow for this action. It's also
Councilmember Gamble, go ahead.
You're looking for the motion to waive council rules.
We can do that now if you like. Yeah.
Waive council rules of procedure to allow action and add a business meeting to the October 17th, 2023 study session.
Second, Coulter.
I have a motion to waive council rules of procedure to allow action and add a business meeting to the October 17th, 2023 study session from Councilmember Gamble, second from Councilmember Fulcher. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Thank you.
Reminder, Jody already mentioned it. We have a joint meeting with boards and commissions on the 30th at 7 p.m. for the comprehensive plan. That will be in the MCC, right, Jody? And then also we have a grand opening at Fairfax for the military program on the 14th at 11 a.m. On 179th. And note the new date.
It was originally scheduled for the 16th.
Now it's on 14th.
All right. Thank you. Anything else? All right. Any questions for that? All right. Oh, yeah. Councilmember Scarborough. The meeting itself begins at 7. So if there's nothing else for Ben, I'm going to go ahead and add on to that. Okay. So we've been having a lot of meetings with boards and commissions where I've seen a lot of people remote. The meeting that I attended, I don't know, about 3 or 4 weeks ago that had to do with the comp plan, there were, I think, 5 people in the room from staff plus me. And then I think there were probably 4 or 5 people in the room that were boards and commissioners. I am going to highly encourage our boards and commissioners to attend to the meeting on the 30th in person. I think that it's important that, you know, while I acknowledge that hybrid is fine for me from time to time, that I do think that this is an opportunity for our boards and commission members to get together with the council, the mayor, a couple staff members, to actually see one another as human beings rather than just pictures on a screen, or in some cases just a voice in a box that is not video on a screen. So as you might be encountering planning commissioners, board members, et cetera, those folks that are on those boards and commissions, please encourage them to come to the meeting in person. The meeting actually will begin at 6:30. So the formal part of the meeting will begin at 7. We will have some sort of foodage. We don't know what that's going to be yet. It might be sweet, might be savory. It's at 6:30, so we're gonna have some finger food. It might be cupcakes or cookies or something like that. I might even see if there are any council members that might be interested in just sort of bringing some things as well. But the idea here is that it's a time for us to just sort of thank our boards and commissioners and maybe speak to them as human beings rather than just video on a screen or something. So I will be sending out an email to the boards and commissioners in the next week or two, just highly encouraging them to be there on that Monday, October 30th. So again, please help me in encouraging folks to be there. And thank you, folks. Any questions? It's on the campus at the MCC, where we were just talking. Yeah. Yes. At the MCC, behind the police department, the Public Works building. Coordination Center. Yes. This is a big room. Okay. Any questions on that? All right. Just a couple other things. At my request, we're looking into thoughts around deploying a flock system. There are cameras that allow us to help out with identifying vehicles that we might be searching for and things like that. As you're aware, we've had at least one incident where there was a smash and grab that was interjurisdictional. It took place across multiple, King County, Snohomish County, couple cities and everything. And we have things because 203 and 522 and Highway 2 that intersect here that kind of go through our community. And I think having these sorts of cameras up and around will help us sort of track when crime might be occurring and people might be using vehicles to go through our jurisdiction. So that's something that may be controversial in some areas. I just wanted you all to be aware that it's something that we're looking into. And if you've got any concerns about that, please follow up with me, and certainly we'll be back before the council to talk a little bit about that. But I didn't want that to come to as a surprise to any of the council members. All right. See if there's anything else. I know I've got other things going on. I think I spoke with each of you last week about a couple of different matters, and I think that's all I have to report tonight. If anybody has any questions, please let me know now or call me sometime. All right. We're going to go ahead and move on to the next item on the agenda. That was the mayor's report. We don't have a need for an executive session. See, I said it was going to be a short meeting, and it worked out okay. It's okay to say it's going to be a short meeting. All right, we are adjourned, unless there's objection. We are adjourned at 8:01 p.m. Thank you, everybody.